In 1911, more than 100 passengers stepped aboard a luxurious Italian train. They laughed, waved goodbye, and settled into their velvet seats. Moments later, the train entered a tunnel. It never came out. No wreckage, no screams, no explanation, as if an iron beast and every soul aboard had been swallowed whole. And here's the chilling twist. Decades later, across the ocean in Mexico, locals claimed they saw a ghostly train, with confused passengers in outdated clothes. A train that didn't belong to their time. Did the Zanetti train accidentally slip into a portal through time? Stay with me, because once you hear the full story, you'll never look at train tracks the same way again. Italy, 1911. The age of innovation. Railroads had become the veins of Europe, pumping life, wealth, and progress across the continent. The Zanetti Company wanted to make history with its brand new luxury passenger train. Polished wood interiors, brass fixtures, velvet seats. It was a moving palace, designed to show off the company's future. On the day of its trial run, a little over 100 men and women boarded the train near Rome. Among them were businessmen, noble families, and curious travelers eager to be part of something historic. As the engine hissed and the whistle blew, no one knew they were stepping into legend. The route included a newly constructed tunnel in Lombardy, a proud feat of Italian engineering. But it was inside this tunnel that the world of the living and the world of the impossible seemed to collide. Eyewitnesses near the tunnel entrance saw the Zanetti train disappear into the black mouth of stone. They waited. They listened. The exit on the other side remained empty. Minutes turned to hours. Panic spread. Emergency searches began immediately. Soldiers and engineers entered the tunnel with lanterns, fearing a collapse. But the tunnel was clear. No twisted metal. No passengers. Not even a trace of smoke or coal dust. It was as if the train had melted into the walls. The Italian government quietly sealed off the case, fearing mass panic. Officially, it was labeled an unexplained accident. Unofficially, whispers of the supernatural began to spread. Some said the train had fallen into a cavern deep underground. Others whispered it had been pulled into hell itself. But the story didn't end there. Years later, in Mexico, 1845, long before the Zanetti train had even been built, local villagers reported a terrifying sight. A massive iron machine, unlike anything they had ever seen, appeared on the tracks. Except, in 1845 there were no trains in that part of Mexico. Witnesses described dozens of passengers leaning out of the windows, screaming, pounding on the glass, their clothes out of place. Too modern for the era. Some even tried to get off the train, only to vanish like mist. The terrified villagers believed they had seen an omen. A cursed ghost train. Later, historians uncovered old documents in church archives, describing the same event in remarkable detail. The description matched exactly the lost Zanetti train of Italy. Had the train somehow jumped not just across space, but across time itself? Over the decades, the Zanetti legend grew. Newspapers occasionally mentioned the Italian train that vanished into a tunnel, but no hard proof was ever given. Still, countless theories emerged. Time slip theory: some believe the tunnel acted as a natural time rift, swallowing the train and hurling it backward nearly 70 years, into 1845 Mexico. Could rare geological conditions, magnetic anomalies, or even the Earth's shifting fields have created a temporary wormhole? Parallel universe theory: others suggest the Zanetti passengers slipped into a parallel world, one almost identical to ours, but running on a different timeline. To them, the journey might have lasted only minutes, while to us, they vanished forever. Government cover-up skeptics argue the train derailed, was buried in a collapse, and authorities covered up the disaster to protect Italy's reputation. But without wreckage, graves, or records of the passengers' remains, the cover-up theory feels incomplete. And then, there are the eyewitnesses in Mexico, people separated by oceans and time who describe something they couldn't possibly have invented. Behind the mystery are the lost souls themselves. Over 100 men, women, and children vanished without a trace. Families in Italy were left in agony, writing desperate letters to officials, begging for answers. Mothers waited at stations, refusing to accept their children were gone. Wives held on to fading photographs of husbands who never returned. And yet, if the time-slip theory is true, perhaps those passengers never died. Perhaps they lived out their last moments terrified in a strange land, in a strange year, surrounded by people who couldn't understand them. Imagine being trapped, not in another city, but in another century. To this day, no remains, no wreckage, no definitive proof has ever surfaced. The tunnel stands in silence, a scar in the Italian hills. Railway workers say that on certain nights, if you stand near the mouth of the abandoned tunnel, you can hear the faint echo of a whistle or the rattle of wheels on tracks that lead nowhere. Some call it folklore. Others swear it is real. But one fact remains unshaken. More than 100 people boarded a train in 1911, and none of them were ever seen again. So ask yourself this: when the Zanetti train entered that tunnel, did it vanish into thin air? Or did it cross a doorway meant to stay hidden from mankind? And if a train could slip through time, what else could follow? Because the tracks of history may not be as straight as we think.